What's up my dudes, it's All Fun and James Zero and I'm pretty good at 1v1s. I'm not the best person around, but I often win the match in duel servers or at least place top 3. I'm sweaty enough that this guy even felt the need to say this to me. In this video, I'm going to try to help you improve at 1v1s in Chivalry 2. This video is focused on 1v1 fights on duel servers, but can also be applied to combat in all of the different game modes. This is not meant to be an exhaustive guide that covers every aspect of Chivalry 2's combat system. Instead, it's just meant to provide some things for you to think about whilst trying to improve your combat skills. And if you do find anything useful in this video, please consider liking and subscribing. It's a huge help to me and the channel. Thank you. So without further ado, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this video. Starting simple with the first tip, and it really is a basic one, but it will make a huge difference in your fights. Instead of doing slow and inefficient swings, you should be using stabs and overheads much more often in your 1v1s. They require more accuracy with your mouse or controller, but the payoff is definitely worth it. Stabs are often longer range than slashes, and if you're using a sword or spear, stabs actually do more damage than slashes. Also, in the case of certain meta weapons like the Messer and the one-handed spear, the stab can be very hard to read and look similar to the blocking animation, making it easy to trick your enemies into letting in an attack. Tip number 2, initiative. Initiative refers to the turns that people take in combat. You'll have noticed in fights that there is a rhythm. You attack, enemy blocks, enemy attacks, you block, and so on and so forth. The key to winning a fight is to disrupt this rhythm by either kicking the enemy's block or dodging their attacks, and then getting in a free hit using the window of opportunity that this opens. Another way to get in a free hit is to move around the enemy's guard with good positioning. Positioning is extremely important in any fight in Chivalry 2. Being able to dodge attacks and move around enemy defenses is essential if you want to see your name at the top of the leaderboard. Compared to 1vx situations, 1v1s are relatively easy because you are only having to think about your position in relation to a single enemy and your environment. Primarily, you want to be thinking about where you will be before, during, and after an attack. You will also be wanting to focus on where the enemy is now and where they're going to be in a few moments' time. Look at this example here. I can see the enemy is committing to a stab and is moving with the stabbing motion. I sidestep them, maneuver to their rear, and get a counter-attack in unopposed. It's very simple to pull off. All you have to do is step or dodge to the side when the enemy commits to an attack. This maneuver is best used when the enemy is performing a stab or overhead attack. Too often people will wildly swing their two-handed weapons from side to side and not really think about what their feet are doing, which often makes their attacks easy to dodge and their guard easy to move around. Always be conscious of your position in relation to your enemy. Talking about positioning conveniently ties in with my next point, playing the range. Keeping an appropriate distance between you and your foe can completely change the dynamic of a fight in your favour. For example, if you are using the one-handed spear and you are against someone with a sword, then you need to try and keep yourself in the sweet spot where your spear is in range, but their sword is not. On the other hand, if you have a shorter range weapon, like a sword or a mace versus a longer range, slower weapon, such as a Messer, you want to be on top of your opponent at all times and keeping up the pressure on them. If you see an enemy starting an attack too early and you know they'll miss because they're too far away, begin your attack just after them, then step into range when their attack is over to get in a free hit. Which takes me to my next point. Know your weapon. Every weapon requires variation in how you fight. You need to know the range, the speed, and the attack patterns of your weapon. I'm going to focus on the spear in this example because I think it's a really strong weapon for 1v1s and is very underrated. I've talked about range in the previous section, so I won't get into much more detail here, but learning the maximum range of any weapon you're using is extremely important. It's also vital to know the animations of each weapon you use and know how to use that to your advantage. For example, the spear's stab attack can be angled downward when close to the enemy and often hits over the top of their guard. You should also keep in mind the damage of your weapon and try to remember how many hits it takes to kill the different classes when using it. So that's it from me. I hope this video was of use to you, and if so, please remember to click that like button. And as a little game to see who stuck around to the end, tell me in the comments what you think is worse, standing on Lego or stubbing your toe. As always, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.